everybody. So I just wanted to make this video to talk about something, a decision I've made for the year. Um, I decided I'm not gonna breed any baby bunnies this year. Now there's a few reasons for that. Um, One would think that maybe it's because I have dinos again, but that's not really it. What it is actually that between work, having worked now, because I have to work now, which I haven't done in many years. I started working in December, and that job was really draining on me. And I recently switched. My first day was last Saturday, and I'm gonna start officially again, like really officially today, like not today, tomorrow. I'm still a bit sick. Quite the weird timing. I ended up getting sick between changing the two jobs, but I guess that's fine. Anyway, so sorry if I cough or sneeze or, you know, um, I'm not quite fully better yet. But I start a new job tomorrow for reals. And I'm gonna be a seamstress again, which is really nice. Now, sorry if the camera shakes. Somebody's trying to get some hay. um, and it, so yeah, so why I'm not getting breed baby bunnies is simply because of I won't have time and energy to put on the babies as much as I would like to. Baby bunnies, you need to socialize a lot, otherwise they get wild really quickly. And last year started well on that, but after the whole moving fail and everything that went down after that, um, like I still have the six girls from last summer and they're really wild, and some are getting better with the time I'm putting on them, but they're still really skittish and wild, and that's because I failed them. um, Between the moving being extremely traumatic for them and me just not having time and energy for them as much as I usually did, um, they just went wild, you know? And that's something I just do not like because I pride myself in making really social bunnies. A lot of my customers are always like surprised by how social my bunnies are and how cuddly they are and calm. And it's because I was socializing them since day zero. Like they've been born for an hour and I'm already socializing them, you know? So they were really used to being held and whatnot. And Cookie is starting to have a new voice. He's starting to sound like a hen or rooster, while the other ones are still sounding like buddies, right? Cookie. So yeah, so I really failed them on that aspect, and normally I don't have baby bunnies. They're not babies anymore, obviously. What I'm saying is that I have a rule for myself where at like 4 or 5 months old, if they haven't sold, um, I have to chop them and make meat with them because that's how I managed my rabbitry. I don't breed for meat. I started out with rabbits, with meat rabbits, and the goal with those was to make meat. But I quickly realized they were too big, and I really was not enjoying um, spending time with them because of how big they were, and they were too heavy for me. So, for that reason, I switched to lion heads and angoras. And for them, I found that I really, really enjoy just the fluff and spending time with them. And that's what I was sharing with people, just pets. you know. Um, and I only sold as pets. If someone was to tell me that they were gonna make meat out of them, just play with them for a while and then make meat out of them, I would refuse to sell them a bunny. Um, if it was that they wanted a breeding couple to make babies for meat, that's different. That I would allow because I was essentially selling the parents, which would remain as pets for a long time. What is it, Cookie? Um, so yeah, so for that reason, I just. By the way, Cookie's beak is completely fine now. She started out with a crooked beak when I introduced her, and our beak is completely straight now. I managed to correct it in time. Uh, so Cookie is a great. But yeah. So to go back to what I was saying, um, so I only sold pets, and I want to only make meat out of those babies that were unlucky and didn't sell. Now, a lot of people had issues with that because since I sold that pet, I ended up serving a lot of people that just did not approve of eating rabbits. Um, but the thing is, when you have a breeding program, there's always gonna be babies that don't sell, and one of and you have to consider that, and you have to keep control over your rabbitry. Otherwise, keep things go out of control, and then things go bad. So the way I controlled that is and maintain like population control is that once babies that I was trying to sell reach 4 6 months old, I would chop them and make meat out of them. And I mean, I did that for years. I started rabbits in 2015 at this point, I think. So I did that for a long time and it works. Um, I select the ones I want to keep if I keep them, and then the other ones I chop. But it's always been my rule that as long as I have unsold large babies that I haven't chopped, I'm not allowed to make new babies unless I plan to chop those soon. And the 6 girls from last summer I still have, which means, especially with the dinos taking up the biggest cage, um, this means that I'm really packed cage wise. Like, there's not much space left for the bunnies. Um, so if I was to make babies, I just don't have the room at the moment. So you'd say, well, okay, then just chop those girls. Now you're gonna have room. And the thing is, yeah, I would have room, but I still wouldn't have the time to socialize the babies as much as I'd like. And that's a big issue. So, while, yeah, I do need a blue Angora again, so I do intend to breed some baby Angoras for the fluff at some point. I just do not want to breed at the moment. Like, it's just not gonna be this year. I'm just gonna wait till next year at least. I have a lot of my rabbits that are getting older. Um, they're retired, so a lot of the cages are being held by retired rabbits or shared with retired rabbits, and that takes up space too, you know. And with all those factors in motion, it just means it wouldn't be right for me to breed rabbits at the moment. Um, I would not be able to socialize them enough. The space wouldn't be suitable, and I have a lot to do. So I have to put my energy where it matters most at the moment, And well, because I have dinos, I have to build a secure enclosure for them to roam. Because last time I had dinos, they were free roam on the property, and that worked because I was there all the time. I'm not gonna be this year. I'm gonna be working. So they, if I had to lock them up all the time while I'm at work, they lose the nice hours of the day to roam. And again, that's just not what I want to do for them. So, because I feel that it's important for them to be able to roam. No? Okay. And for that reason, I just have a lot to do. I'm gonna build that protected, safe enclosure for them to be able to roam. I have to prepare a winter coop because last time I had to give up the dinos for the winter because I was not ready for it. And this year, well, I intend to be. So while this cage works for the moment, I did have to make some changes to it. I had to move 3 of the heat lamps to them only. Like they they have 3 of the heat lamps, which leaves only two for the rabbits, and that means that that section of the rabbit tray of the gazebo it gets colder, and I don't like that. The bunnies can handle the cold, yes, but I don't want to make them too uncomfy either, because I have to compensate because these guys need a lot more heat. Um, so I need to build these guys a proper insulated coop, and I have to include features in it which will provide heating and so like the waterer I installed it because I thought that we were done with um the freezing temperatures, but because it was getting really warm all the time and the snow's basically done, and I figured, well, even if it gets a little colder it's gonna be fine. But it did end up freezing because we had a cold snap the last week. Um, and it ended up freezing again. So while I removed the heat pad because these guys didn't need them anymore, I ended up installing it behind the waterer so that it would keep the water to about 10 degrees so that it wouldn't freeze anymore. Um, because the little cups can actually break if they freeze. So that's bad, and I don't want that. And I actually like the little cups a lot. And a lot of the rabbits have been needing a lot of water, especially the cages with a lot of rabbits. They need more water. But like Pepper, she drinks 5 bowls by herself every day. Um, Something's wrong with her with her kidneys for sure because of that. Uh, it's a sign of something being wrong with the kidneys that she drinks so much. But she's mostly healthy otherwise. She's just getting old. But those bowls, they end up taking a lot of space in the cages, and that takes up more space. And it makes it harder for them to have clean water also because since it takes up so much space, you know, it's causing issues, basically. So I ended up buying some little cups like that, and I'm gonna make waterers for the rabbits that I'm gonna set in each cage. Now, those waterers, I could make a hose line, like a water line, and with piping and whatnot. I don't like that idea because that means that the one thing about my cages that I really like is if I need to move them around, I'm able to, because it's kind of like a puzzle. I make the pieces fit like I need them to. But if I have a hose line, those have to be cut to the proper lengths, and then they're not gonna fit any other way. So I don't like that. So basically, I'm gonna buy some containers, probably at Dollarama, the dollar store, and just make waterers where just a little cup will enter the cage so that they can get a lot of more water, and it's gonna take barely any space in the cage. So more water, cleaner water, more space, you know. Um, and then I'm probably gonna have to buy some heat wires for the winter so that those I can wrap those waterers and little cups in that heat tape and make sure that it doesn't freeze during the winter. So basically, I have a lot of changes to my setups to do to be more freeze safe for the winter, dino safe for the winter, and I still haven't finished the two remaining new cages that I need to build. Um, so those have been just remaining unused, and I have a lot of building to do, a lot of you know redoing things and changing things, and so throughout all of that, I know I'm repeating myself at this point. My brain's not all there. Um, but yeah, so all that to say, I'm not gonna be breeding rabbits this year. I have the dinos. Eventually, they're gonna be laying eggs. I'm not gonna incubate those eggs either. Um, Maybe over the winter I will, like when I reach the end of the year, if I plan to have more dinos for the next year. Maybe I will, but for now this year I'm not incubating any eggs. Um, Cookie, come here. I know, Cookie. Yeah, Cookie. Hey, Cookie. Hello. Yeah. You wanna go in? You wanna run? There you go. There you go. Come here. Um. So yeah. So that's the news. Basically, that's the whole why I'm not getting babies this year. Um. I'm gonna focus on work, on building what I need to build, and there's a silly girl that wants to build a nest. Like the girls want babies. The bunnies, the girls, they want babies, you know? Like a few of them have been in nest building mode and just in a mood to have babies. They just are. Um but they can wait. There's no hurry to have babies at the moment. Oh gosh. Face. Look at that face. Oh. Hello, Dalmatian. Are you building your nest? You gonna put it in that corner? You're so silly. So yeah. Sorry, I dropped the phone. I dropped the phone again. I'm so sorry, everybody. There you go. Come on. Come here. Yeah, I'm trying to socialize the dinos too, and even that's not going as well as I'd like because I don't have the time to be with them as much as I'd like. But it's okay. They're getting better anyways. Hey, Cookie. Hey, Cookie. Are you thirsty? Yeah, you're thirsty. Is the water running? There's basically no medication left in this water. But yeah, so there's no water left in this water. No medication left on this water. But the new medication should be here soon. And they've been doing a lot better. So they should be okay. Cookie. Cute dinos. Alright, so I said basically everything I had to say. I have to give these guys a bit more hay at the back because I removed the old one that was too sore to my taste. So I'm going to give them some fresh hay. And then I'm going to close up the curtains at the gazebo because there's a lot of wind today. And then I'm going to go back inside and do what I need to do inside. I have to wash the shower today so that I can shave Pepper soon because she is extremely due. She's basically a sphere of fluff at this point. And she's getting really messy. This boy also needs a shave. So, whoops, sorry. This boy also needs a shave. So, basically, I need to have an extra enclosure in my room. And for that, I need to wash the shower because these guys were in it and I can't put bunnies in it as long as I haven't cleaned and disinfected there. So, yeah. So, bye-bye everybody.